Alright, hey, hi, hello, my name is the Mac in the Box, and welcome back to the After Hours After Show. Once again, late, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get these uploads on time, but I got no motivation, I'll be honest with you, got no motivation, it's kind of depressing, but anyway, so we're back today with WandaVision Episode 7. So, in this episode, it's a Modern Family inspired episodes, Modern Family as well as like The Office, Parks and Rec, them kind of stuff. A ton of our theories were answered. Agnes is confirmed to be Agatha Harkness. We take one W on this show already. One huge dub. Agnes is Agatha Harkness, which we predicted from the first episode. The first episode of the After Hours After Show, we actually predicted that, which is great. But we'll get back to that later, obviously. The episode opens on Wanda waking up after a night of expanding her pocket reality. Billy tells her that his head is noisy, a telekinetic power he inherited from his mother. Billy and Tommy tell Wanda that their game is freaking out. And then in a cutaway scene, we see the game go back through time from a Wii remote to like GameCube, and then back to a set of Uno cards. Wanda basically ignores this and goes back to sleep because she is going through a depressing stage in her life. I need to move. Okay. There are several cutaway gags talking to the camera, like in The Office and Modern Family. We then get a title sequence with music similar to The Office and visuals similar to Happy Endings, which is a show that the Russo brothers worked on. They were the guys who did Winter Soldier, Civil War, Endgame, Infinity War. Agnes takes the twins to her house to give Wanda some me time. Hayward plans to launch something, which we do not know what he's launching yet. Vision awakens inside the circus that was once Sword HQ. He awakens Darcy, like he puts his hands on her head. And then they go for an exposition drive, where Vision learns about his double death. Monica meets with a team of soldiers who deliver the rover that Monica believes can drive her through the Westview border. But it doesn't work. After the failed attempt, Monica just walks through the border. We get a cool scene of her powering up. Powering through it. She exits with these cool new blue eyes, which look absolutely sick, and presumably she also exits with presumably superpowers from the comics. She rushes to Wanda's house where a mini fight breaks out. Wanda is escorted from the situation by Agnes. Wanda feels the inside of Agnes's house is a bit off. She asks where the twins are. Agnes says, they're probably just playing in the basement. So Wanda goes down to the basement and Agnes reveals herself to be Agatha Harkness in an absolutely banger song. Which is currently number 1 in the charts, I think. A bit mad. The episode ends with her saying she killed Sparky too, and there is a post-credit scene. If you didn't know, there is a post-credit scene where Monica finds Agatha's basement, and Pietro finds her and says, "Snoop is gonna Snoop." So Pietro isn't out of the show yet. So we got the WTF questions and theories. Is Monica a superhero now? Yeah, I think she is. She has become the character from the comic books, either Photon or Spectrum. She's probably going to go by Photon because that was her mum's code name. Her powers are, she has the power to manipulate / absorb energy, which explains how she got through the Westview border. She absorbed it, kind of like Miles Morales in the Spider-Man game. If you played that, it's incredible. I'm going to do an episode on it, hopefully. Is Agatha Harkness working alone? This is the theory I'm... me and New Rockstars and all them guys, we've been predicting Mephisto since day one, so I'm still going to hold on to that theory. If it's wrong, I'm willing to admit defeat, but I'm still going to hold on to it until the final episode. I cannot say for certain, but I have to find a way to link all of this back to Mephisto. I do think that Agatha is the big bad of the show, but we could see her working with a second person, who is most likely Mephisto, due to all of the satanic and devilish decor on the walls of her basement and that creepy dungeon. She could either be working with Mephisto or she could be using Wanda's powers to summon him with the book that we saw in the dungeon, which is most likely the Darkhold from the comics, which was originally made by Chthon, I think? Yeah, maybe. So she could be absorbing Wanda's powers, and presumably the twins' powers too, to summon Mephisto. We've also been led to believe that Dottie is important, so we could also be seeing some kind of witch cult, a cult of witches, a group of witches that Agatha is working with, and Dottie is one of them, maybe. She could also be working with whoever the hell Pietro is, but I have a separate theory about him in a minute. But the likelihood is that he is working with Agnes here. Where are the twins? When Wanda went into the basement, the aspect ratio changed, so it went from widescreen to cinematic screen. So that tells us she went outside of Westview, because that's the visual indication that we're outside of Westview. When we're with Hayward, when we're with Monica, outside of Westview, and Jimmy Woo, the aspect ratio changes, but when we're inside, it expands. So, seeing as the twins aren't down there from what we've seen so far, we could be seeing that the twins cannot exist outside of Westview, but they're probably just somewhere else, being held captive by Agnes. But still, they could not exist outside of Westview, which is still a huge probability. Pietro, imposter, he's sus, or X-Man. Honestly, I'm still hoping that this guy will be the new Quicksilver in the MCU, but I'm assuming that he's either going to help Monica take down Agnes, and he's going to disappear when the Hex ends, or he's working with Agnes and will fight against Wanda and the others. He could be Mephisto, just saying. It could also be one of the Fox, it could be the one from the Fox movies, and that could tie in why Magneto might show up from the Fox movies, but because he's there to save his son. I think my main theory is that he's working with Agnes, but maybe he was being manipulated by her, because we see in the Agatha All Along sequence he's got the purple smoke coming out behind him, so that indicates Agnes has some kind of control over him there. But after Wanda threw him, maybe he doesn't have Agatha controlling him anymore, so maybe he's free will and he can, help them take her down, and when the Hex ends, he vanishes along with Vision, but I think the two boys are going to survive. That's what I think, anyway. Aerospace engineer. What the hell is that about? I don't think the team of soldiers we see are the hyped-up aerospace engineer. I think there is still one surprise that will either be Reed Richards or Blue Marvel. But there is something off with these group of soldiers. I think they might be Skrulls. I think they might be a group of Skrulls. You know the green guys from Captain Marvel in the post-credit scene of Far From Home? I think they're Skrulls. Because we know that Skrulls work with S.W.O.R.D. thanks to another post-credit scene in Far From Home. But yeah, that's what I think anyway. Big cameo? Oh. The big cameo will either be Reed Richards, played by John Krasinski, who I'm thinking is the... or I'm thinking a new version of Magneto in the MCU, who reveals himself as Wanda and Pietro's actual father in the MCU. Or it could be Fassbender or Siri and McKellen playing Magneto, because of the multiverse. Could also be Doctor Strange. I would be a bit disappointed if it is Doctor Strange, because that isn't as big of a cameo as, they've hyped it up to be. Spoilers for Mandalorian Season 2. They've hyped it up to be as big as the cameo by Luke Skywalker at the end of that show. But if I have to limit myself to one prediction, I'm going to go with Magneto. Because I really want it. I really want a new version of Magneto. Or an old one. Either way, Magneto is who I'm hoping for. Also, I'm hoping it's James Spader as Ultron, who turns out to be Hayward, which would be insane. I would love that, because I loved Age of Ultron. Alright, guys? I loved Age of Ultron. I think it was really good. Not really good, it obviously has its problems, but the highlight of the film was James Spader as Ultron. Big theory time, boys! I think the next episode will be a flashback to how the Hex started, with flashbacks to the Mind Stone experiments that give Wanda and Pietro their powers. But my big theory for the whole show really hasn't changed that much, except obviously I'm changing Mephisto being the big bad to Agnes. So let me recap for those who haven't heard it yet. Wanda is not fully in control of her power, been confirmed. Agatha and Mephisto are behind it all, and they are draining Wanda of her powers so they can use it for themselves, probably to open the Darkhold, or Agatha is using her power to open the Darkhold. They struck a deal with Wanda to create a town and sitcom for her and her dead husband. All she had to do was bring them the body of Vision. She gets to live her perfect life and everything she's ever wanted. Kids, Vision, her brother, But once they have what they want, or when something goes wrong, they rip away Wanda's kids, her brother and her husband, or they convince her they're gone because of Sword, when they actually aren't, leaving her broken, lost it all again, and her powers explode, leaving a portal into the multiverse where Westview once was. I think Westview is going to become the portal to the multiverse. I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be a big, empty, like, whole hexagonal portal to the multiverse. And Wanda is either going to go looking for her kids through the multiverse, or trying to pull Vision through a different universe, or she's going to try and do something, because she's going to lose something by the end of this, break over the multiverse. And we were also told she's a Nexus being, thanks to the advert. A Nexus being is a constant throughout the multiverse. She can tap into any reality she wants. She can just jump into the Miles Morales universe from Into the Spider-Verse if you wanted to. That's how powerful Wanda is. Another Nexus being is Kang the Conqueror and Jean Grey. They're both Nexus beings. But yeah, the Nexus beings are important, and we've been told that Wanda is one thanks to the commercials, which is pretty pog. Conclusion time. I was a huge fan of the modern era setting for the episode, and the reveals are really well executed. But there wasn't enough Jimmy Woo, okay? I'm sorry, there wasn't enough Jimmy Woo, so I can't give this episode above a 9. So I'm giving it an 8. I'm giving this episode an 8 because people have called it filler. I don't think it's filler at all, because filler... The show is a sitcom at the end of the day. It's a sitcom with superhero elements. And we got a sitcom of the modern era, which is arguably one of the most famous eras of sitcom that is still going on today. So... my screen keeps going off, Jesus. So, seeing as it's one of the most famous, and it's a sitcom. First and foremost, this show was a sitcom with weirder elements in it. Obviously, we're going to get more superhero stuff near the end. But at the end of the day, this is a sitcom, so it's not a filler episode at all. It's just another episode of a sitcom. So, 8 out of 10, pretty PogChamp episode. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments. And I'll see you in the next episode of probably the After Hours After Show, because I haven't filmed any of the kind of videos. I'm sorry I'm clogging up the channel with After Hours After Show videos. But I'm really into my nerdy stuff at the moment, and I'm hoping you're enjoying it. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Adios, my dudes.